What is going on, YouTube? Carter here, Edge Mindset, the Gloved Man, Juju1313, whatever you want to call me. Another video. We're taking a look at a buck strider. I posted a picture of this, and it got quite a bit of interest. Some people thought it was cool. Some people didn't know they existed, so I kind of just wanted to talk about it. Probably be a fairly quick video. We've got a battleship, new production, quote-unquote, SNG up at the top here, just for illustrative purposes. And then down here we have the Buck Strider 883, I believe is the model. Here, it's got Coyote FRN, I believe it's FRN handles. It is a liner lock with a steel liner. It has a black oxide 3/4 ground blade. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if Strider proper had 3/4 ground blades at this time. Please, if anybody knows, is this the first instance of a quote-unquote Strider with a 3/4 ground drop point blade? Because I used to, a long time ago, I got into Striders a year or two after these kind of disappeared and this whole thing went away, I believe. And I don't remember seeing 3/4 ground Strider propers at that time. I could be wrong. Maybe they existed. I could have sworn that was kind of a newer thing that was popping up after these had long gone, went away. The steel on this, I'm not completely sure. It does have a stamping here. I don't believe that's the type of steel. It's like STL something. I believe it would be the 440 HC that Buck used a lot. They're 440 high carbon. I know some of these came in like RWL, whatever it is, that old steel that Strider would use with the Boss heat stamp on it. But this one I believe is just 440 HC. I don't know if this has the Boss heat treat. It doesn't say it, so I guess not. You've got the cool logo here, Strider Buck. So this is not a copy. This is not a fake. This is the only like real production collaboration that Strider has done, right? So Strider has done like design collaborations with different companies where they work with like Prometheus Design Works for exclusive runs and Monkey Edge for exclusive runs. But they're all Strider produced, Strider knived with just different designs and lasering and materials and things like that. But this was an actual made by Buck production Strider that popped up. There's a few different models like I mentioned. I believe they were all at least... There's a few oddballs in the Buck Strider line that are designs that are not really Strider designs. But the ones that look like a Strider all came in the S&G size. And you can kind of see a testament of how the S&G hasn't changed. It is like, in terms of the profile dimensions, it is the exact design. Like, this handle is thicker, quite a bit thicker. I actually kind of like it. And the blade stock is a little bit thinner. But in terms of blade length, blade shape, all the parts, the whole unchanged. Like it is a Strider. Like it is a Strider in a liner lock. And this also makes me wonder, like, it'd be cool if Strider did a liner lock of their own. But anyways, these were mass produced, made in the USA by Buck. A few different configurations, like I mentioned, different colors. I believe they were all liner locks like this. Very considerably well made here in the US. I think I just mentioned that. This one is off center. Most of them though are pretty dang good. One thing I noticed with this is the washer on this side is thicker than on this side, which leads somewhat to it being off center, although I think it's actually also just a little actually off center, but not too bad. But a lot of them are not that way. There's no, it's rock solid. It's super smooth. Once I put some oil in it, the detent's good. These are very well made knives. I don't believe you can take it apart. If anybody knows how to take it apart, let me know. It almost looks like it's riveted together, but I know you can buy aftermarket standoffs for it. So there is a way to get it apart. Very well made. And these went for like $40 to $70. Depending on the model, and you could buy them in sporting goods stores and things. So I remember when I first got into Striders, when I first kind of heard about them, I found out about these, and I missed these being widely available by a few years. It really bummed me out, but I picked a couple up on the secondary market. Sadly, I sold them, but they're really cool knives. One thing I did want to point out that I found quite interesting is these screws. So it does have a reversible pocket clip, tip up, carry only. One weird thing, I don't think you can see it, maybe. See how the liner is cut out right there where the screws go through on both sides? So the screws only go in the FRN, and they explicitly prevented it from going in the steel. Very strange, very strange. I don't know why they did that. I mean, there's 3 screws. I'm sure it's quite secure, but usually you would want to go through that steel liner just for extra support. You know, you tap into that, and that's usually what you're like, oh, good. You know, these screws are going into steel, so it's good. But they actually cut a channel out, and it only goes into FRN. Very strange. Cool, cool knife. It has that black oxide finish. So this collaboration between Strider and Buck is what kind of, it was cool because it allowed people to afford a Strider, good quality knives that you could just buy at sporting goods stores for a reasonable amount of money that were actually pretty dang good. Like these are pretty cool. But it also, that collaboration is what taught Mick how to do the Boss heat treat that Buck is so famous for, and is what led to Strider being still, in my opinion, like one of the best, if not the best, steel heat treaters in the market. If you've ever sharpened a Strider, it is amazing. Their heat treat, their steel is top notch. You have a lot of knife companies like this Solo, Diaware Solo here. I have no idea what the quality of the heat treat is. I have no idea how well this steel performs, if it performs like M390 should, or if it performs worse. You got companies like Medford who does stupid things with their steels where, I could do a whole video on freaking Medford. They run their stuff soft. And they run it soft because the theory is, you know, people in the field that actually use the knives can sharpen it easier, and it's not difficult to sharpen, which, okay, I mean, we can do that. That's what Emerson says as well. However, Emerson properly heat treats steel appropriate for that, right? That's why Emerson says they still use 154 cm, because they like that steel because it's easy to sharpen. You can do it when you're out being tactical and things like that. But what Medford does is they apply that same principle, but they still want to be cool and use the cool steels. So they're like, oh, we use the cool steels, like S45VN, 3V. We just don't heat treat it properly. And that sucks because you don't get the performance that you expect out of the steel. So Medford, if you want to run it soft so it's easy to sharpen, then just use a steel that's easier to sharpen and a little bit softer and heat treat it accordingly. So probably 154 cm. Stick to that. Stick to something like that. Don't try to pretend you're doing cool fancy steels, but then you just don't heat treat it properly. So then it just doesn't perform how it's supposed to perform, and you don't know what you're going to get. So that's one thing that really bugs me with Medford. But Strider is not that at all. Strider performs, their steel performs better than a lot. You know, Spyderco, I would say, is the only other one that comes to mind that I really feel confident on their heat treats, their steels, and if they say they have a steel, they've done it correctly, and you're going to get the performance you expect out of that steel. And you're not going to be kind of hosed because they didn't do it right. Strider's known for that, and part of that is the heat treat process he learned from Buck during this collaboration that they still use today in their knives. So very cool collaboration from Buck Strider. I think a lot of people are taken aback by this for 2 reasons. One is just, you know, Strider doesn't do collaborations like this. This is the only one. They've informed some things. They were involved in ZT a little bit, but not like this, right? It wasn't a production SNG. It wasn't a production SMF. They just kind of were involved in some of that stuff. They've kind of been involved in a few other things, but nothing to this extent as we have here. So I think a lot of people are like, what? A production, an actual production SNG? Second, you know, Buck of all people. Buck hasn't really done this again, where they collaborate with kind of up-and-coming knife makers to do something kind of a little more out there. Buck kind of sticks in their, or at least not that I'm aware of, they kind of stick to their traditional stuff and don't really do a lot of this. So this is kind of a unique collaboration in a couple of ways, both on the Buck side and on the Strider side. So check them out. You can pick these up. Keep your eye open. They cost considerably more than they retailed for, but that was a long, long time ago. They're still reasonable. Like, if somebody wants a real Strider feel, you're not going to get the frame lock titanium, but everything else, you know, high quality, USA made. I still think this is a good value. You can pick these up essentially new in box for 200-ish, depending, if you want it right now, you're probably going to pay more, but if you keep your eyes open, you'll find these, and you can pick them up. And in my opinion, it's still worth the money, I would say. You're not getting some of the latest, greatest features, but it's really well done, USA made, and gives you a chance to kind of feel what a Strider might be like if you want to get, the full-on titanium frame lock version. All right, guys, so that's it. Buck Strider 883. Check it out. They're pretty cool. They're around. There's a bunch on eBay. Not the best place to get them, but sometimes. I actually got this on eBay for a reasonable price. Bid on it. Got it. I've seen better prices on the forums, but I just was impatient, so I jumped on this one. All right, guys. Catch you later. I'm out.